the UFC welterweight champion, #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, 5 straight title defenses, 19 straight wins, 15 in the UFC, 2021 Fighter of the Year, an All-American, and a national champion wrestler in college. Kamaru Usman is my guest. Champ, what's going on? How are you?
I feel great. When you run off that stat sheet like that, who doesn't feel good about themselves?
Dude, you got a good resume now. You got a really good resume. Really. So let me ask you, you've earned everything you've got. You're here in L.A. during Super Bowl week. What are you up to? How are you enjoying L.A. this week?
Oh, man, I actually just came here to have surgery on my hand, which, I hear some of the best doctors in the world are here. So I was able to come here, have my hand fixed, because now I've been, a month and a half, 2 months removed from my last competition. I'm kind of itching to get back in there. So you got to kind of fix some of those little issues that have kind of been bothering you in order to be at least close to 100%.
Why, dude? Do you need your hands for what you do for a living?
You might need them. You might need them.
All right, listen, the fact of the matter is first of all, how did the surgery go? How do you feel? And what's your timeline for a return? How are you approaching it?
Surgery went well. The doctors went in and they were able to clean up every little thing in there that they found. And so I think they're giving me probably about a good 2 to 3 months before I could actually start punching again. So, I'm aiming for that summer return.
Okay, so let me ask you this. 3 weeks before the fight with Colby Covington, you broke that hand. And a lot of guys break their hand that close to a fight. They're not fighting. They're going to pull out of the fight. Not only did you fight, you won that fight. #1, how did you go about doing that, and was not fighting even an option for you?
There's a certain level of just mental fortitude that you get to, especially at that point. I've been putting myself through a very rigorous camp, because if you guys remember, that first fight wasn't the easiest fight. So I was putting myself through an intense training camp, and with my coach is just a mastermind. We were able to just kind of take myself out of punching with that right hand for about 3 or 4 weeks, just to give it a rest in order to be able to get to fight night, which is the most important. Fight night, at the end of the day, hey, you got to do or die. So there was nothing that was going to stand in my way from stepping in there and delivering, of course, another title defense.
It's one thing. In that business, you not only have to win, you have to win a certain way. And when you say it's do or die, is that a figure of speech? Or when you enter that cage, y'all are a different breed. I've talked to a lot of athletes in a lot of different sports over the years, even combat sports. But when you say do or die, do you mean that literally? Do you prepare yourself for the possibility that, I may not come out of this cage?
Yes, you don't, but you don't think of it that way.
Right.
You don't think of it as, I may not come out of this cage. You just think of it as, I'm going in here and I am not leaving until I am successful. At least that's my approach. And so when you get in there, you don't really care. You've prepared your body to be able to throw it into the fire. And so that's why you'll get into performance and you'll have some serious injuries, but you don't even realize it. You don't feel it. So when you start walking backstage and you start seeing certain things, it's like, oh, that should hurt. Oh, that should hurt. That should feel this way. And that's when the pain starts to set in.
So I mentioned you're the best fighter in the world, pound for pound. I'm curious about legacy, because I'm getting the sense that you're not here to maintain. You're not here to protect what you have. You're here to do more, get more, be more. We're talking about big-time, heady legacy stuff. Are you looking maybe to jump over the middleweight class altogether and go to light heavyweight? Is that something that interests you?
See, legacy is not something that I don't even focus on that.
Okay.
A lot of people say that legacy. I don't focus on that. As long as I'm able to accomplish what I have in front of me, by the time I'm said and done, I walk away from the sport, people will tell me that was your legacy. That's what you left. And so each and every time I step into that octagon, I am in there to win that belt. I'm not there to defend. I'm not trying to protect anything. I'm trying to earn that belt each and every time. So by the time I walk away from the sport, everyone can look back and say, wow, you left a legacy. But that moving up, as long as I've said it before, as long as Israel Adesanya is the champion, I have no interest in going there. But when Jan Blachowicz was the champion at light heavyweight, of course, I thought it was a great matchup. I'm not saying I would just demolish the whole light heavyweight division. I'm saying I thought that was a great matchup, and I thought that I would have been a 2-time champion and skipping middleweight and becoming a light heavyweight champion.
All right, so what about Adesanya? How come that does not interest you?
I've said it before. Adesanya is a fellow Nigerian, a good guy. I like him. I like his approach, and I've said it. I would rather 2 Nigerians have belts than 1 Nigerian with 2 belts.
That's interesting. I've always wondered about guys that felt strongly about each other. Generally, at the end of the day, it's like business is business. We have respect, we have love, but we have to do what we have to do. But that's not what I'm hearing. That's not what you're saying.
Well, like I've said, if Dana is willing to sit us down and say $100 million, hey, guys, let's split this up. At that point, me and Israel have to talk, because at that point, me and my little brother, my blood brother, we would have to talk and say, hey, let's go out here and let's make this money.
Kamaru Usman joining me for a few more moments. Let me ask you about another guy, Khamzat Chimaev. He has expressed interest in fighting you this year. Of course, my man wants to fight every day and fight everybody who ever lived. What do you make of him, his game, his rap, and would that interest you?
Of course. That's the thing, is that there's a reason, there's a structure to get here. So he's done great with the opposition that he's been presented. And by the time he gets here, once he gets here, of course, we'll have that conversation. But I am the champion. I am the pound for pound best in the world. I am the king of the castle. Everybody wants a piece of me. So that's good. I like that. There was a time where I was coming up and I just couldn't get those fights. I couldn't get the next guy to step in there with me. But now that I'm at the top, I don't have to do that. These guys have to call me out, and these guys have to come to me. So when they make it up here, I'll be here waiting.
All right, so we talked about this earlier. Like, sometimes you have the hammer and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have leverage, sometimes you don't. Dana White has said that your next fight is going to be against Leon Edwards. Now, that might be who Dana would like for you to fight. Is that who you want to fight?
Of course, I want Canelo Alvarez. I've said it before. But if Canelo's not interested, it is what it is. We'll let him keep picking guys out of the haystack of boxing and finding nobodies to fight. But if he wants to do it, he knows where we're at.
Dude, how do you think you would do against Canelo? How would that go if you got that opportunity?
Oh, I think I would do great. And that's the thing. I never approach a fight. I never get into we don't play this. This is fighting. This is real. We don't play this sport. So if I don't think that I have a chance, what is the point of me even stepping in there? Mm-hmm. A lot of people thought, like you see my recent fights, a lot of people thought Masvidal said, oh, well, he doesn't have power. He can't do this. He can't do that. And we saw how that went. Before that, they thought, okay, Gilbert Burns, this was a teammate that knows him, trained with him. This guy could dethrone him. We saw how that went. So for me, it's about proving something to myself. Each and every time I step in there, I want to prove something to myself. So that fear that I have, I love that fear. Because when I'm able to overcome that fear, that's the drug for me. That's the big drug. When you go in there, you're afraid, and you're able to overcome it, then you sit back and backstage and you're like, holy crap, I did it.
Dude, really quickly, when was the last time you were truly afraid of somebody or something?
Oh, November 6th. I was afraid. Going into the Covington 2 fight, of course I was afraid. Going into the Masvidal 2 fight, of course I was afraid. Each and every time. That's why I take these fights. If I don't feel that there's any danger in it, there's none of that fear, what's the point? At this point, it's just going in there for a paycheck. And I didn't get into this just for a paycheck. I got into this to be the best in the world. And I've proven that. I am the pound for pound mixed martial artist in the world. And eventually want to be pound for pound the face of the fight game.
My man, I respect that. I respect that answer a lot. Guys like that never admit to any kind of fear. And you're saying, yeah, I was afraid, and that's how I grow, and that's how I became what I am, the best in the world. Kamaru Usman, UFC welterweight champ. Really good to see you. Appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you,
It was
Jim.
a good time.
Appreciate it.